Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for December 29, 2023. And in the news this afternoon, police captured dozens of Klansman gang members linked to murders and the shootings. Members of the security forces on Thursday conducted a major operation in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, in search of members of the Klansman gang. A member of the gang was fatally shot and the 3 illegal firearms seized during the operation, which began at 5 a.m. A motor vehicle, cash, luxury items, and designer clothing valued at approximately $3 million were also seized. Several enclaves of the gang were targeted in the operation, led by Deputy Commissioner Fitzbailey and the members of his team. The deceased has been identified as a 29-year-old Sonman McFarlane, otherwise called Max, of Ellerslie Avenue in Spanish Town. The Independent Commission of Investigations is probing the incident. Speaking at a press briefing Thursday afternoon, DCP Bailey said Thursday's operation marked the culmination of a 9-month-long investigation led by the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigations Branch. To date, he said 31 members of the gang have been taken into custody in relation to murders and the shootings. The probe focused on the section of the Klansman gang controlled by incarcerated leader Tesher Miller. DCP Bailey revealed that the Spanish Town-based Klansman gang, listed among the top 5 criminal organizations operating in Jamaica, has been linked to at least 800 murders across the island over the last 9 years. He said the authorities are determined to dismantle the gang, which is operating in several other parishes, including St. James, Clarendon, and the corporate area. In 2018, gangs accounted for 80% of the murders committed, the senior cop pointed out. But in 2023, he said they accounted for 67% of murders recorded. According to DCP Bailey, this is evidence that the police's anti-gang strategy is working.
During this operation, Human McFarlane, OC Max, aged 29 years old, laborer of Ellerslie Plain, St. Catherine, challenged the security forces and was fatally shot, and 3 firearms recovered along with a quantity of ammunition. In addition, a motor vehicle, cash, luxury items, and name brand clothing estimated to value about $3 million were also seized at a location in Old Harbour, St. Catherine. Today's operation culminated a 9-month-long investigation led by the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Branch, CTOC, which resulted in a series of arrests over the period. To date, 31 members of the gangs have been taken into custody. These persons arrested are being held for several offenses, which include murders and shootings. This particular investigation focused on the section of the gang under the direction of the incarcerated leader, Tesher Miller. Our investigation has linked the Klans gang to at least 800 murders since 2014. In 2018, gangs accounted for 80% of the murders committed within our country. This year, it accounted for 67% of the murder recorded. It is evident that our anti-gang strategy is working. And I believe that we will continue this effort, and step by step, we will ensure that Jamaica is safer as we bring it to the gang. I must pause to say that I am of the view that our counter-gang initiative is working. As when you look at the attribution from over 80% to 67% or thereabout, is a manifestation that the effort is working. The Klans gang is currently listed among the top 5 criminal organizations operating in Jamaica.
Civil servant wins the first round of legal battle against the government to retain her job. Principal Director of Corporate Services in the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunication and Transport, Sandra Graham, has won the first round in her legal battle with the ministry. The Supreme Court on Thursday granted Ms. Graham an injunction blocking the ministry and the Public Service Commission from removing her from the post in the public service effective January 1, 2024. Ms. Graham had filed an application in the Supreme Court challenging the decision to separate her from her job on the grounds of redundancy and/or reorganization, and sought leave for judicial review of the decision. The Supreme Court on Thursday granted her the injunction for the application for leave to be heard next month. Lead attorney Hugh Wildman told the news that the decision to remove her is procedurally improper. She is challenging the decision of the Public Service Commission and the permanent secretary on the basis that her constitutional right is being breached. She is entitled to due process before any decision is made to separate her from the public service, he urged. The attorney said the hearing of the judicial review application is set for January 25. In the application, Ms. Graham contends that the decision to separate her from her job after more than 20 years in the service is based on false allegations made against her by purported anonymous persons. She states in her affidavit that she was not afforded the opportunity to confront them. She refers to anonymous letters accusing her of hating Portfolio Minister Darrell Vaz and trying to bring down the permanent secretary. Ms. Graham says she has written to the Integrity Commission concerning her job and has reported threats she received to the police. JET dissatisfied with environmental management amid recent incidents of pollution. The Jamaica Environment Trust has expressed dissatisfaction with what it said is the apparent mismanagement of the environment following recent incidents of pollution. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Teresa Rodriguez-Moody said the recent events indicate a blatant disregard for protection of water bodies from both industrial and domestic waste. Speaking with the news, Dr. Rodriguez-Moody argued that not enough is being done to safeguard the environment.
Too often we are getting reports of these pollution incidents, not just by private companies, but also by state entities. And what does this say? What is it? We keep hearing the question, why does this keep happening? Why do these incidents keep happening? Is it that we don't care about the environment enough? Is it that we don't fear the environmental or the consequences of these negative impacts? I think it's a combination, but I think that we need to focus more on pollution prevention, which includes better monitoring and enforcement by our regulatory bodies. And we also need to encourage people to report incidents when they do occur, so that going forward, we want to move away from being reactive and focus more on being proactive, because it is better, it is easier to prevent an incident than it is to recover from an incident.
Woman hospitalized after over $2 million hacked from NCB account and a credit card. A marketing manager whose National Commercial Bank account is linked with her mother's says over $2 million was swamped by cyber criminals and a further $122,000 billed from her credit card after she read a text message she said she received from the institution. The woman, who asked not to be identified, said the theft left her mother hospitalized after she learned that the money she had saved to cover the cost of a life-altering surgery had been stolen. NCB, one of the country's largest commercial banks, in an emailed response to the news query, said it would not divulge information about its customers, but provided tips on how they could avoid being defrauded. We do not provide specific details regarding any customer case in recognition of the importance of confidentiality, the bank said. Last week, the woman told the news that she received the text message with the subject NCB alerts on November 1. She said the message indicated that a hold had been placed on her account. It further instructed her to quickly review her transactions at ncbtsa.com to restore access to her card. The woman said that she did not click on the link. She said on November 6 she accessed the joint account to do a business transaction for her mother and was shocked to see that it had been wiped clean. She told the news that $2,014,000 had been taken from her mother's account and $93,000 had been removed from her account. Right now, they are putting my name to shame at Credit Bureau when it's something that happened to me. It has been really horrible. My name bad at Credit Bureau. So if I want a loan in the future, NCB has damaged my credit, the woman said. She said NCB told her to report the matter to the police while they investigate. It has taken a toll on me. It is frustrating and very draining. It put my mother in the hospital, the woman said. She said she contacted her attorney, Matthew Hyatt of Knight, Jr. and Samuels, and cease talks with the bank. In a letter dated November 20, 2023, and addressed to Dane Nicholson, head of the Fraud Prevention Unit at NCB, Hyatt raised the concerns that the bank's maximum transfer limits were breached without triggering an alarm. He pointed out that NCB's real-time transfers to other financial institutions are limited to $500,000 daily and $1 million monthly. Transfers between own accounts are limited to $2 million daily and monthly, and the transfers to third-party NCB accounts $500,000 daily and $1 million monthly. In the instant case, well over the daily transaction limit was transferred to third parties, unknown and unauthorized to our clients. One would have expected that our clients' accounts would have been immediately restricted after the transaction limit had been exceeded for the day, Hyatt asserted in the letter. Further, he said in the circumstances, as outlined, his clients, who he described as long-standing customers of NCB, received no security alerts as to any suspicious activities being conducted on their accounts. He also noted that the situation had put his elder client in a health and a financial predicament, as the money that she had in her account was earmarked for urgent intestinal surgery within a few weeks. Hyatt said that his clients did not act negligently with the handling of their accounts and had reported the matter to the fraud squad a day after the money was discovered stolen. We now use this opportunity to ask the bank to further investigate the matter at hand and to restore our clients' money in full in the interest of good customer relations and in good conscience, the attorney said in the letter. NCB did not respond. Yesterday, Hyatt argued that customers are increasingly falling victims to various hacking schemes and insisted that banks have a duty to protect them and to safeguard depositors' funds. In the United Kingdom, the government is developing a new scheme that will oblige banks to compensate scam victims as the losses continue to grow. The rule is being enforced by the UK's payment systems regulator and will see reimbursement costs split equally between the bank that sends the payment and the bank that receives it, he said. If we cannot address this issue in a meaningful way, then Jamaica is not ready to go cashless, and the more unsuspecting customers will fall prey to scams, the lawyer told the news. He said a review of regulations is overdue to ensure proper governance of how depositors' funds are secured. Hyatt said that this would add confidence to the financial system, lest we run the risk of placing funds under our beds once again. In September, the news reported that a teacher was left devastated after Fishers emptied her savings of $1.8 million and took out a $1.6 million loan on her NCB account. But NCB said that the majority of fraud losses occur when victims click on links or share their confidential and private information online or over the telephone. To safeguard our customers, NCB has long implemented a strict no-link policy. NCB will never send a customer a link via email or SMS related to their account. Furthermore, we will never call or request confidential information such as your username and password, PIN, bank account or card number, or token ID, it said in an emailed response to the news yesterday. The bank said that it was the first to adopt this policy within the industry and has actively engaged in consumer education efforts since 2015 in collaboration with the Ministry of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining, as it was known at the time. We continue to communicate through all our channels, including our recently launched Fighting Fraud Fridays weekly tips, the bank said.